Good evening everyone, welcome back to DTR Division 3. We're in Imola today, and it's a straight qualifying and a race. I think it's 32 laps the race, and we've got probably the closest division in DTR about to take to the track. And this is the first time commentating in this season, but I will be the regular commentator. I'm looking forward to it. I think there's going to be plenty of battles out on track. There's a lot of people very similar paced. And 16 drivers on the grid. Thought there was going to be a few more than that. Must have had a couple of people drop out late. But nevertheless, it's going to be a great battle on track. I promise you that. So stick around. We'll watch some qualifying. I'll take you round the lap with the first person out on track. When I figure out who that is, it looks like it's Jens. I remember commentating on Jens a couple of seasons ago. He loves going out first. And he hasn't bucked the trend. So he's in the Aston Martin. This is round 2 this year. I think on the stream I put round 1, so apologies for that. It is round 2. And I'll go through the results after qualifying, just so you know how the table looks. But it's early in the season. And if you didn't know, we're cross-play now, which is why you see on the left-hand side we've got computer symbols, we've got PlayStation symbols. So no matter what platform you're on, if you want to join DTR, if you want to get involved, if you're finding a league that you want to race in, get involved, get in touch. Got plenty of leagues to accommodate you, so get involved. Anyway, Jens is making his way down to the end of Sector 3 now. He's about to round the last corner. We'll jump on board. We'll take you around a lap of Imola. And then we'll crack on and see where everyone's at. So his DRS line is here. He's about to open his rear wing. And off he goes down the pit straight. It's got a couple of kinks in it. And we're heading up to turn 1, which is the first very technical section. It's quick S-bends. Got to be careful not to upset the rear of the car. You can go spinning. The track limits are quite difficult here, and here's the second lot of S-bends, and again you've just got to make sure you keep the momentum in the car, keep the car balanced as you come up to a hairpin. Got to slow the car down, and again be careful on exiting uphill, but the traction's not great. But Jens has taken it perfectly so far. You flick it into a left-hander, you suddenly go down the hill, and you're coming into one of the trickiest parts of the track now. Turning into an uphill, you get a lot of traction uphill, you can floor it. Jens uses all the track. You flick it back to the left, ready for the tighter chicane on the track, and you throw the car in there. You can see Jens using the curbings very well. You get your foot down, and it's a race down back to the line. You're going to go for a left-hander and into the final corner where we picked him up. And here we go. It's all about getting a good exit. And he will take the shortest route to the line. You'll see his DRS wing opening again, and over he goes with a 16.5, and that is a solid start from Jens. So who have we got? His teammate Hackett, who is just finished in Sector 1. He's gone purple, so he's beaten Jens so far. We'll have some other people coming across the line while we jump on with Hackett. And Joe puts in a 117, and we've got Crudor, who I think won the last race. Has put in a 16.4, goes provisional pole, as Hackett makes his way through Sector 2, and probably the trickiest part of the track. And Rikas joins. We've got 17, maybe just a little bit late. You can see that Hackett decides not to touch the curbs around that chicane. He's heading downhill now into the 2 left-hand corners, ready to straighten the car up and blast it to the finish line. So he was purple Sector 1. I didn't see a purple Sector 2. Is it enough? It's his 7th. It's a 17.4. So strong first sector. Didn't cope so well in the second and third sector. And here comes Brandon then down the hill. He will be one of the favourites for this league. He's got plenty of pace in him. Look at him using all the track. Perfect again. Just keeps 2 wheels inside that white line. And that is a great X out the final corner. Where he's pole with a 16.0. I was going to say before these guys started putting in lap times that I think low 16s, high 15s will get you pole today, and it's going to be mid 15s now, I think, with people already in there on a 16. And we'll jump on with Bog, He's just come out of Sector 1. And I've been following Bog for a little while now. I was sure I was commentating on him at points last year. He's unlikely to be up on the top row of the grid in qualifying, but he does hang around. And in the races he likes to make up places. And he loves capitalising on people's mistakes. He will just make sure he gets to the end. So I promise you, he will be picking up points today, no doubt about it, as he makes his way down into the final sector. He swings it round. He's carrying tons of speed through there. Here we go across the line. It's a 17.7. That puts him 10th for now. Who else is setting a lap? I think Connor's just gone back round again. He was invalidated when we joined him last time. And Connor was in Division 5 last year. He's been promoted to Division 3 and he's been pretty solid. I'm not sure whether he's on a hot lap. We'll stick on board with him and see what he does. Missed a couple of apexes now. So if he is on a hot lap, I'm sure he'll look to improve on it. And nice and aggressive through the chicane. Gets his foot down on the exit and he's got his ERS light on. I think he is charging up. What about Guna? He's invalidated. He's going to start a lap now. So Guna has won plenty of titles and actually he raced in Division 2 last night and fared reasonably well. So he will be one of the favourites to take the win tonight. As he hits the first two corners perfectly, he's flat out on the throttle. He makes his way down into the second set of chicanes and again swings the car in lovely. Just using the apexes perfectly. He swings it round the hairpin. He's carrying plenty of speed. Using all the exit. Straightens up the car and you can see he's purple already. Oh, and he's run a bit wide. He's got away with it though. It hasn't invalidated, so he must have lifted out of it. Braking hard, ready for the uphill chicane. Here he comes. How is he going to take this tight chicane? Takes a little bit of curve. You can take a bit more than that, but it's nice and safe. He's going to get a banker lap in. He's already been purple, so trying to protect that lap. And he rotates it around the last two corners. And again, he's just carrying plenty of speed, using all the exit. His ERS light is flashing. You use a lot round one lap here, and where will it put him? It'll put him 4th. That's a good banker lap for now. He will come back out again, and we've got explosives. I think this is his first. Race round here for DTR. So let's see if he is going to start his lap now. Unless the timing screen is lying to me. The timing screen is lying to me. He was on his lap, and it's a 17.1. So let's look at the two lads at the back that haven't set a time yet. Nellboy is on his way over the line. Is he starting a lap or is he finishing a lap? He is finishing a lap. It's a 16.7. Puts him in 5th for now. So that's a good start and a good banker lap. And we'll jump on board with Mikey. And he's invalidated. I don't know if he did it just then or whether he was invalid before that. Anyone else on a fast lap? We haven't seen much of Joe. He is half a second down on his time. Coming around the final corner. Here he goes across the line now. And he improves massive. He's up into 3rd. 16.4. Again, he's another one to watch out for. Raylier, he's put in a 16.8. He was also in Division 2 last night and fared pretty well. Let's jump on board with him. And he is teammates with his brother Guna for another season. And these two in the Alfa Romeos are a team to stop. They're a great partnership. They work well together. So let's see what these two can pull out the bag. Currently 5th and 7th, and Reliot goes purple. And I think since I joined the league, these two have been racing together. And you'd always have said that Guna was the #1 driver, but Reliot has improved tons over the last 2 seasons. And I think he will be fighting for that #1 driver this year. We'll see if that comes true. It looks very tidy so far. And with a purple first sector, can he go purple second sector? He doesn't. But you don't often, because the setups often don't allow you to go purple first and second, because the second sector is quite tight, which means the people with the lower downforce tend to fare better through there. So maybe he's running low wings. Here we go. Relic coming across the line, currently in 8th, and he improves to 5th and above his brother. So good start from Relic. He'll have another run at it, I'm sure. And Hans, just getting out of the way of his teammate. Who is his teammate? Crudor. Is he on a lap? He is. He's improving as well. He's a 10th up. He's gone purple in the second sector. He gets away from the tricky chicane, sorry, not the hairpin. And he works his way down the hill. So he was a 10th up. Has it done any damage? Has his teammate done any damage? He was probably getting a slipstream from him, to be fair. He's running a little bit wide. But he kept enough of the wheels on the track. And he's going to come across the 9. This could be in the 15s. It's close. It does an improvement. It wasn't the 15s. It's a 16.2. Still a good lap. Reliant, we know, has just finished his lap. Hackett is coming round. He's got his ERS flashing. Probably not on a lap. Queener. I think I've raced Queener before. Good to see him back. And he puts in a 17. It's Brandon puts in a 15.8. We missed it. Sorry, Brandon. But very good lap. And we've got Wazza on a lap now. So let's join him in the Red Bull. He's also another contender. He should be up there. He's quick. And his teammate Rika is the strategist. He is absolutely brilliant at turning a race around. Often goes in for the harder tyres early on. And will just race and race and race on worn tyres. And he picks up a lot of points doing it. So anyway, we're on board with Wazza. Let's talk about him. He's on his way up to the chicane. Carries momentum but misses the first apex, and you can see he just has to compensate for that. But it looks like he's got away with it. And he's just got these last 2 corners to navigate, and he's got Crudor in front of him. But that might just help him with a bit of slipstream, and he chucks the car in there nicely, uses a bit of the curb, gets his foot down. It's not a 15. Can he break the 16s? He can. It's a 16.8. It puts him in 9th. So good start for him. He will get another run if he gets in quick enough. Little Mikey trying to improve. I think we saw him invalidate earlier, so let's jump on board with him. Coming down to second. Look at that. He's just flown through that sector. You can be flat through there, and he was brave. And he's booted it up the hill. Going uphill gives you that extra traction, so you can be a bit more aggressive on the power. And Mikey's taken every bit of grip out of that he can. And here he comes now. On his way down the hill. Careful not to run deep downhill. Have to brake that bit harder, and he carries lovely momentum through. Probably took a bit too much sausage curb, but it's done fine. He's on his way over the line. This looks pretty quick. It's a 16.4 and 4th for little Mikey. Great lap. What about Connor? Is he going to set a lap? He's invalidated. We've got 4 minutes of the session left, so it'll be interesting to see whether he decides to go around and bank some ERS, or whether he jumps in, tries to chuck in on a new set of tyres and come back out. What's he going to do? He is going to dive in. I'm assuming he will go and put another set of tyres on to come back out. But we've got Bog trying to put in another lap. He's currently a 17.7. He's pulled out of it. So will he go in the pits? Let's just see if Jens is on a lap first. He's invalidated. Let's see if Bog goes in the pits. Or is he starting again? He's got plenty of ERS, so he's starting again. Let's watch him on his pursuit of the top 10. If he can position himself somewhere in that middle pack, he'll be very happy. And McLaren getting out of the way there. As he carries plenty of speed through sector 1 and through these chicanes. It's so tricky to get your point, and he uses a bit of sausage curb there, but it doesn't unbalance the car, so he's done well. And he's 2 tenths up on his time already, and that's only sector 1, so looks like there's plenty in this lap for him. So he's on his way up the hill, and this fast left-hander will go on board for him. You have to be so patient to get back on the accelerator, or you end up washing out wide and invalidating. But it's looked like a pretty solid lap so far. He gets aggressive through the curbs. He's done well. So, as always, it's just these final 2 corners to get through. and he's round 1. Round the other carries plenty of speed. Maybe has to get out the throttle a little bit just to ease it off, but it's going to be an improvement. How much is it? It's 4/10, and it's enough for 14th. So the two at the back of the field that haven't set a time are not out yet. They're going to have to hurry up if they're going to get out. Let's jump on with Hans, who looks like he's improved slightly. And I think I said before that he came from Division 5 last year. And he goes purple in the second sector. So again, he must be running quite high wings, which essentially makes you a bit quicker around the corners. So if he can get in the top 10 in this division, that'll be a big accomplishment for him. And I'm sure he was taking some of his assists off as well, which is never easy to do. But what does he do? It's a 16.3 and it puts him 5th. Forget about 10th. He's in 5th. Great start. Now let's jump on boys with some of the boys at the top here, and we've got Nellboy, who's in 2nd. I didn't see him post that lap, but it's a 16.2. He's right up there, and he reckons he hates this track, but I think he's telling some porkies it, and we'll see. So I think he's on his way round to the line. His ERS light was flashing, so I'm assuming that light is about to turn off. Unless he's just done it. Is he on his way into the pits? Oh, big L. Okay, so Hayward, is your light flashing? Your light is also flashing. So, little Mikey, are you on a lap? No, your light's flashing. Come on, someone's got to be on a lap. Really, it looks like he might be on a lap. He is. His light is not flashing. He's in the last 2 corners. And again, carrying great momentum around. He's very aggressive. And he makes the car stick to the ground. And here he comes across the line. Is it in the 15s? It's not quite. It's a 16.1. It's good enough for 2nd. And Reliant wants that #1 driver at Alfa Romeo. Let's have a look at his brother. And Brandon's out, so he's not going to improve on his time. Where's he done that? I think he's retired in the pits, that's all. And Guna's backing off. I think he's going to have one final run at this. I think he's going to get the chance to go once more, and we'll stick on board with him because he's definitely got a pole lap in him. And if he can get it, he will boot his brother off the front row. And here he goes, and he will be the last man to cross the line, I think. No, I think a Red Bull is going to get across as well. That'll be Rika, I think. Wazza is in the pit, so it must be Rika. We've got some yellow flags up ahead, but I think he's just getting out of the way. So Guna is filtering his way through. We'll keep an eye on the leaderboard. He's chucking it through the corners quickly. He's being aggressive with it. And it's all or nothing now, so you might as well. It doesn't matter if you end in the wall. He's getting plenty of traction out of there, which is not easy to do. And he was very quick through this sector yesterday. And he runs it wide and invalidates it. Who's in front of him? We're on board with Joe. Can he make it a Mercedes 1-2 on the front of the grid? Let's see when the sector time comes up. He's not improving on his time. So as it stands, unless he's got time to find in the final sector, he's going to be in 7th. He's not at risk from Guna. He could be at risk from Hackett if he's on a lap. Oh, I've flicked wrong. Back with him as he comes round the final 2 corners. And he's just got a bit sideways and he's going in the pits. He's abandoned it. We know Guna's done. Hackett's on his way down. I think he might be done. He is. His light's flashing. What about Rika? He was the last man. He's invalidated. So that is going to be your starting grid. And congratulations to Brandon, who put it on pole with a 15.8. And Reliant with a massive quali in 2nd. Just in front of Nellboy. And then we've got Crudor, who I'm sure won the last race. I'll go through the standings in a second. And we've got Jens with a big drive as well in 5th. And I did say it when he put his lap in, but Hans must be very happy with 6th place. Joe in 7th. Little Mikey in 8th. That's a great qualifying from him. Guna will be a little bit disappointed with that, but in the race, he will certainly make up some places. And Explosives, welcome to you. You're in 10th in your first race in DTR. Congratulations. Wazza in 11th. Hackett in 12th. Queen in 13th. And I'll finish that off when the venue comes back. So here we go. So then Bog then is 14th. We've got Connor in 15th, Rika in 16th, and Tom Putty in 17th. So that's your qualifying order. So just while we're having this quick break in between the sessions, I'll go through the standings from last week and the race results. And I think if you'd asked me before the first race, I don't think I would have predicted this. But there are some strong title contenders in the hunt here. So Crudor wins in his McLaren. We had Brandon in second, and he is on pole here, so he is definitely a title contender. Hans in third, so the McLaren's got a 1-3. That's huge for constructors, and they've already got a 20-point lead, but I'll come on to that in a minute. Lil Mikey finishes fourth, Cass in fifth. I don't think he's here tonight, Cassell. Reeps in sixth, Gunnar in seventh, Hackett in eighth, Jordan in ninth, Connor in 10th. And then we had Bog in 11th, Nellboy did not finish, Hayward came 14th, Prize in 12th, Rika in 11th, and then we had Reliot and Tom who did not finish the race. So it's McLaren leading the way in the constructors, 20-point lead over Williams, Mercedes in third with 18, Alpine in 10th, Alfa Romeo with 6 points, Aston Martin with 4, and Ferrari with 1. And then we've got the AlphaTauri, the Haas, and the Red Bulls yet to get off the mark. And they've got a chance tonight to turn that around. So it looks like the race is going to be dry, I think. But we'll see. And for those of you interested in the football, Chelsea are losing. Karim Benzema. And it looked like a good save from the keeper, and Benzema just gobbles up the rebound. Yeah, not like he did anything about that. But anyway, back to the racing. So the McLarens are strong again with a 4th and 6th in qualifying, and they could run away with this Constructors' Championship if they do well again here today. Joe will be looking to try and I think we've had some contact because Explosives and Wazza have gone back to the grid. But yeah, those Mercedes boys will be looking to do some damage to that lead from McLaren today, and Alfa Romeo have got a lot of catching up to do, so plenty of work out there for some of the other teams. But we'll see how we get on. It's always an interesting race round here. There's only really a couple of overtaking spots unless you're feeling a bit frisky. There could be some safety cars tonight. We was all expecting safety cars in Division 2 last night, and one didn't come. So you've got to be careful with your fuel loads. You can under fuel here. Let's see how the drivers get on. It's going to be a brilliant race. I think Brandon, Reliot, Nellboy, Crudor, Jens, Hans, I think Joe, I think all of those top 10, and even some people outside of the top 10, are all title contenders. Like this is honestly the closest league in DTR, I think. And I think you're going to see a different winner every week, for sure. As Brandon now will start to back up the pack a little bit. You can see the other two drivers on the grid. They're going to have cold tyres to start. And we can see Tom at the back of the field making his way up to the start line. And some people slowing down just to get their tyres warm. You can see the burnouts going on at the back. And Brandon, Queener, Tom have been disqualified. Just means they haven't hit their marker box and they will start a little bit further back. So we're on board let's go on board with Brandon and look backwards because I can't get a good camera angle. Brandon's off, he's got a good start. It looks like Reliant might have a good start on the inside as well. We've got a Williams further back, and the other Mercedes looks like he's trying to make a move down the inside. Let's see if we can get a better camera angle. We can, we've got someone on the grass, it's an Aston Martin further back. Brandon's away nice and clean though, and the two McLarens and the Haas, and one of the McLarens is round, I think that's Hans. Got a bit of contact in there. Everyone else is through cleanly by the look of it. I think Hans must have just spun off the grass, and we've got about 4 wide down here. And they managed to sort themselves out just before the chicane as Rika makes his way up to 9th and has had a flying start. So Guna's down to 10th and fighting his way to stay in 10th, and we've got 3 wide. Tom Putty's already up to 10th. He was at the back of the grid. He's flying. What a start. Hackett makes his way past little Mikey, but I think he's lost positions. What a start to the race. We only had one person that went round, which was Hans, and luckily didn't collect anyone else, but Brandon will be delighted with that start. He is away and nearly a second clear of Reliant already, who's got Crudor right up behind him, 3/10 back. And he's going to be looking to get nice and close, ready for the pit straight. But the key round here is do not drain your ERS. It's not too hard to get it back, but you will get the DRS help later. And you can see that Brandon is already out of that second buffer, but look at the straight line speed of Reliant. He's pulling away from Crudor, so you can just see the difference in strategies around here. You can have high wings, you can have low wings. Reliant's defence will be on that straight. Crudor will be trying to get right up behind him, and he will look to open his ERS and his DRS at the same time and make his way past. And they've already clawed Brandon back in, look, 8/10. So you can see sector 1 is Reliant's strong point. You'll start to see Brandon pull away through the second sector, and I think we'll see that backwards and forwards all night now. And you can see that Brandon already is pulling out a bit more of a gap, but Nellboy's dropping back a little bit. He will just want to stay connected with Crudor really, because the DRS train is really powerful around here, and the minute you drop off it, you're not getting it back. And let's try and catch up. It's a bit of a hectic start. We'll catch up with the strategies. A lot of medium runners out there. Guna went on the hards, so that's an interesting strategy from him. Hackett's also on the hards. Connor and Queen are also on the hards. And what you will find is that the hards tyre will go much, much longer, and the mediums start to fall off after about 8-9 laps, and the hard tyre will then start to become the faster tyre. So watch Guna for now. And the biggest gainer, Tom Putty and Rika, up 7. I said that, saw Tom moving his way up so quickly. He must have had some fantastic straight line speed, and just picked his way through the field when Hans spun, I assume. But great places gained from him. We're still on board with Crudor, who's trying to catch the back of Reliant here, half a second back, and as I described, we're going to see Crudor right up behind him again, as Wazza and Jens, as it looks like Jens might have got squeezed off there, Wazza trying a move, and you can see Jens now under pressure from Explosives, who is making some headway, and he's going to have a little go. He sort of fakes it there. It's a dangerous place to try it. The straight's not really long enough. And you can see that Explosives is getting some really good rotation in the car. They're out of the chicane. So on the way down the hill, and again I think you'll just see those two in front have got the straight line speed, and I think Explosives gone for a little bit more downforce, and he's so aggressive in there. He's just got to be careful, keep it smooth, because now look at the damage you've done, and you put Rika all over the back of you. Rika is flying down the straight, and he's already DRS. He's moved to one side, and that's going to be done way before the corner. It is. So Rika is now up into 8th, and he makes his way after Jens, as now you'll see that Explosives will have the advantage through the corners. The corners are over, and Rika starts to make his way back off. And I think Explosives, and there's some yellow flags. Where is it? It's further back in the field. It's Connor that's gone off. And I think my advice to Explosives would be try and keep the race in line. You don't have to try and fake some of those moves. I think you're actually doing yourself more damage than good by doing that. And Connor's off again. He's got overheated tyres. Just needs to be patient, let them cool down, and be back on his way. So Rika is already 5/10 behind this little DRS train we've got going on, and Joe is at the head of that. So he's got past Nellboy actually. So that'll be interesting to see if he starts to open up the gap. Nellboy seems to be struggling for race pace early on. And you can see that Joe is starting to pull that gap. So he will be after Crudor now. He's got a 3-second gap to make up. Crudor struggling down the straights. Israelia really pushing the car down the straights. Taking advantage. We've got Jens and Wazza. And Jens overtakes Wazza, but Jens is very guilty of absolutely draining his ERS. So, and you can see, look, the red light is flashing. So it might not take too long for Wazza to be back up behind him. And if he uses his ERS wisely, it won't take much. But Rika, again, he's up 8 places now. Tom Petty's fallen back a place. So Rika is now the sole owner of the most places gained. He just runs a little bit wide through there. And I think Rika has also got low downforce. So he'll be quick in a straight line. But Wazza is trying to put some pressure on Jens again. As he, I don't know whether Jens was a bit slow through there or Wazza was a bit quick, but either way, they were close. There wasn't contact, I don't think. And they're keeping touch with Nellboy. Nellboy has just picked up the pace a little bit. He's not really lost Joe. It looked like it was he was going to run off a little bit, but he's held it. And here comes Wazza. And he's making his way round the outside. Are they going to be side by side here? No, he has just got the job done and he can cut in front. And this should be a lot easier now for Wazza because Jens has used all that ERS. Wazza hasn't got too much in the bank, to be fair. He's just got to thread the car around, try not to get a warning. We'll jump back up with Crudor, who is 6/10 back. He's not really made too much more of an impression. But this is the part of the track where he will make some gains, especially going up through this this chicane. Just misses the apex a little bit there. You've got to be so neat when you're running high downforce to make that advantage stick. Takes plenty of curve, nice and aggressive. And you can see when they get in a straight line, radiator's off. So he needs a good exit out of here. Has he got much ERS? Can't see on the McLaren steering wheel. I don't like to bring up the menus because it can give drivers information. So I'll keep that bit quiet. Nellboy still within a second, but doesn't have DRS, interestingly. And this Wazza and Jens battle continues, and they're dropping off the back of Nellboy. So he'll be happy to see that, as Jens is now making another move. And he gets the inside line this time, so this battle continues. They're switching places every lap, but they're doing themselves a bit of damage as it looks like Tom Petty gets past Hackett. Is Hackett off? We've got some yellow flags. He is off. Not sure what happened. But Hackett is off. He's in the gravel. As I was saying, these two just need to stop the scrapping, really, because it's bringing Rika back to them and pushing Nellboy away from them. They're 2 seconds away now. And Wazza gets a little bit wide through there. Lucky not to lose it on that sausage curb. But yeah, like I was saying earlier, you lose the DRS train and it is very, very hard to keep up with. And we've got someone else that's gone off. It's one of Ice Explosives, I think. No, it's Rika. And Explosives. What's going on? Rika is definitely off. He's just rejoined as Wazza picks up a 3-second penalty for track limits. And we will get plenty of them round here, I promise you that. As Rika struggling with hot tyres. Someone behind him running wide. That's Queener. So what a nightmare for Rika after a great start. Will now have to fight his way back. And look who is trying to find some points. Picking up on people's mistakes. Bog is there and he's after Explosives. Looks like he's got plenty of straight line speed, but he's got hands all over the back of him. And he's going to be quick enough. He's got his ERS on. He's going to be on the inside. And oh, there's a bit of a tap there. But they get away with it. Bog tries to go back round the outside. Can't make that stick. He's trying to switch back. Oh, it's great. It's a great attack by Bog. But just can't quite get it done. and wisely pushes his nose out of the attack. He's now going to have Rika for company, who's going to look down the inside, but decides to not to take that one on. Bog runs a little bit wide and will lose a bit of traction, and I think Rika will probably get him up the hill now. Need a better camera angle. He has. He's just nipped in front, and Bog loses 2 places. But trust me, he will be there. He will be looking for those mistakes, and Tom Putty makes his way into 9th, so he is back on the charge. We've got Guna in 8th, who's looking good. He's the front runner on the hards, I think. He is, so he's looking good. These guys will pit probably in the next 5-6 laps, and that will release him to get his head down and try and make up as many places as he can. And Nellboy continues to hang on the back of Joe. He's doing a really good job. He's picked up the pace a little bit, and that was really, really important as Wazza and Jens are fighting again into turn 1. Wazza cuts across the front of him, but he was way past him, and here he goes through sector 1 as Jens spins it. I think he just put his foot down too much, and there was a little bit of overtaking going on back further down the field. Where was it? It was Rika on hand, and Jens is struggling to find a way back on the track, and that is his race probably ruined, and he's got a 10-second penalty. We'll see if that could get overturned later, because I think he was just trying to stay out of the way, really. But we'll jump on with Brandon at the front of the field. He's had it his own way so far today. Relia is keeping him within arm's length, just over a second back, and it could be really key. One of these two will need to be slightly quicker on those hard tyres. Could see an interesting battle to the line, but Brandon having it his own way so far, keeping Relia at arm's length. Relia is just tucking in behind. I think he'll be happy to tick away some of these laps, and he'll have an attack on Brandon a bit later. Crudor is just hanging on to the back of Relia, who is probably in the same position really. We'll just be happy to tick away some of these laps, and we'll go after Relia a bit later. And Joe is starting to make a bit of an impact on these guys ahead. He's taken a second out of them, probably in the last 3 or 4 laps. So he's starting to pick up the pace, and he's got Nellboy following him, and Nellboy seems to be picking up as these tyres start to wear off. He seems to have the better grip in comparison to the others. So we'll see if he can put any sort of pressure on Joe, force him into a mistake. Gets on that sausage curve. That can be a bit nervy when you're out there, because sometimes the wheels just like to slip away from you, but they work perfectly fine there. And again, I think Nellboy will be running slightly lower wings, and therefore giving him a better straight line speed, because Haywood looks like he's been able to pull away in that sector 2. And here comes Nellboy. He is gaining, hasn't got much ERS, and I'm impressed so far that we don't have a safety car. But what I am going to do is probably move a bit further forward, because for the first time since lap 2, Relia is within inside a second, and I think that's Relia picking up the pace, because look at Crudor, he's dropped back, but Haywood is still only 2.5 seconds back, so this is definitely Relia picking up the pace. He's obviously decided now is the time to push, as Tom picks up a 3-second penalty after getting overtaken by Rika. And it looks like Tom's trying to come back at him. The time's just slightly reducing, but I think the job is done for Rika. So, is it going to be out of these two for the win? And the team principal down at Alfa Romeo surely is going to be favouring Mr. Relia for the season if he carries on like this. 8 tenths back from Brandon. Has he got his wing open? No, he just dropped outside of a second before the detection line. I'll show you that next time they go round there. But you have to be within a second before the detection line. for you to then be able to open up your wing. But Crudor is just reeling these guys back in a little bit again. So we'll see if he can try and make this a three-way battle. Looked like he was just dropping off for a bit, but maybe Brandon is now starting to struggle on those tyres. It's going to be exciting to the end, but look at this, Gunnar. The hard tyres are now coming into their own. We're in that switchover period. We're going to be at the point where the medium runners are going to be starting to think about pitting. And I tell you what, the position that Gunnar's in now in relation to where that front group are, just going through the chicane a bit further down the road, Gunnar's in a great position to, on the alternate strategy, to switch this into at least a podium. As you can see that Waz has made a mistake, not the first time at that corner, and is Gunnar going to capitalise on that? Well, he's definitely going to be within a second here. We know he's got straight line speed, I'm sure Wazza has too, but it's all about the grip out the final corner, and Gunnar is probably going to have the better of it. And here he comes. DRS is open. Wazza trying to break that slipstream, but I think it's going to do very little, because here comes Gunnar as Wazza tries to squeeze him on the inside, but Gunnar has the right to the line and makes it through, and around sector 1 they go. So Gunnar is coming into his own now, and he is definitely a man to watch. I know he's what, 5 seconds back, but I promise you he's in a brilliant position, especially the longer it takes for these guys to come in and get off those mediums. They're not going to realise that Gunnar is there to make the jump on them. Crudor is now within a second, so these tyres that are starting to fall away a little bit, he's liking this. I think Brandon is struggling with it. Relia struggling through this sector, but again it's all to do with their setup, because you can see Crudor just reeling Relia in. And Explosives now with a 3-second penalty. I promise you that will not be the last of the penalties that we see. Crudor making his way round as Brandon fakes his way in, but Crudor is going to try the undercut, so in he goes. So the others are staying out, they want another lap, they want to hold on to those hards for a little bit longer. So Crudor is in there getting changed, Gunnar comes through, he's got Wazza right behind him, as Gunnar now wants to try and break the slipstream, but Wazza's going to make it through, and these two do not want to be fighting. This is going to ruin Gunnar's race if Wazza slows him down, and Wazza gets a bit sideways. He's got Gunnar up the inside and he's had to pull out, but he just doesn't want his race ruined. And I think it's sensible from Gunnar, but it must be so frustrating, because this is just slowing him down. His tyres are better, the mediums are falling off, and he's got a Red Bull wall in his way. And this was the critical stage of the race. So Crudor is out in 11th, he's got traffic, he's got Bog in front of him. That's not what he needed. He really needed to be able to pump in some fast lap times here on these fresh hard tyres. However, it's going to be slow for these guys on the mediums. Are they going to come in? Brandon is in, Relia stays out. That's risky. I think Crudor will get the jump on Relia, but we'll see how it plays out. Joe also stays out. I think that's risky. Nellboy also stays out. Wazza stays out. Gunnar is going to stay out. He's on the hards. So these guys staying out. I think Crudor is going to get the jump on Relia, but we'll have to find out, as Gunnar just wants to get on with this. He wants Wazza to get in the pit so he can just get his head down and pump in some quali laps. As Nellboy still sticking to the back of Joe here, and I think it's about time. I don't think you can wait any longer. I think we're going to see that Brandon will probably continue to control this race. He has come back out in front of Crudor, and he's a second ahead of him, so that gap has decreased. But I think it's also going to show you that Relia is going to be in a little bit of bother, I think, when he comes out. Is there any overtakes likely to happen? There's not. So I'm going to assume Relliot's in. So we're going to stick on with Brandon, and we're going to see how quickly I get down. As you can see, he's weaving just to try and warm those tyres up. And I think these two are going to jump Relliot. All three of those guys at the front are in the pits. I think, has Wazza continued? He has. Wazza has continued, and Guna, well, he might get some slipstream down the straight, so maybe not the worst thing in the world. But here comes Brandon now, down the line. He's going to have Crudor right for company. His DRS is open, so there's going to be a fight here. There's going to be Relliot coming out of the pits. Where is he? He's on his way out. But look at the two fighting down the main straight. Crudor's got it done. He is miles ahead of Relliot. So, three things happening all there, all at once. Probably shouldn't have flicked off the battle, but I wanted to see where Relliot was. So Crudor takes the lead of the race on the hard tyres. Brandon, second. Relliot, 2 seconds back. It was the wrong thing to do, to stay out for that extra lap. But those two fighting ahead should cause some a little bit of pain for the two of them, and will bring Relliot back into this. But Relliot just needs to keep his head. The only person really that's going to be a problem for him is his brother Guna. And if that strategy pays off, Guna's going to be quicker at the end of the race. And Crudor's got Tom Putty right in his face now, which is really going to slow him down. This is going to bring Relliot back into this. He's 2.5 seconds down, so remember that. We'll come back and have a look at it in a minute. Crudor, we know, is faster through the corners, and he's being slowed down through the corners. This is going to put Brandon all over him. Let's watch Brandon. And we can watch round 2 down the straight as Tom now peels off into the pits, and Crudor is probably saying, yeah, cheers, mate. But he had every right to be there. Crudor's light is flashing. Brandon is coming after him. They're about to go side by side. Brandon is going to go round the outside of the first corner. They are side by side. They're keeping it neat so far. The gap closes up. Brandon has to pull out. Will he get the switch back? He won't. Crudor just keeps the place. It's good racing. Love to see it. And this is going to bring Relliot back into it. It's still 2.5 seconds, to be fair. He's not taking advantage of that little scrap going on, but they did get DRS, so it's probably not down to him. Look, that gap is coming down now, and Crudor is under huge pressure. Up the hill. Round they go. And Brandon's just got to keep in mind that he's going to get some dirty air from Crudor, so he's had fresh air all day in his face. So he's just got to be careful of the understeer you get. And Crudor's light is flashing. That'll be music to Brandon's eyes. Not that you can hear with your eyes. But anyway, Relliot is reeling him in ever so slightly. And really he could do with Crudor holding Brandon up. And it's fair to say that Brandon makes some very strange calls with his strategy at times, but today he is bang on, and he's about to take the lead of the race. He does, and Crudor is back to second place, and that one was much easier than the first. And you can just see that Relliot has dropped back because of the DRS that was given to to Brandon. And Brandon just hitting those sausage curbs, just needs to be careful, and he's run wide there, and Crudor is the one with the penalties. I think that Brandon would have got a warning there, but Crudor continues to put pressure on. And we've got a battle going on a little bit further back with Nellboy on the back of Hackett. Hackett has not made a stop yet, so he'll want to clear him as soon as possible. And Crudor is dropping back, so I'm just going to go and have a little look at it. And look, Nellboy is all over the back of Hackett. Those tyres he's using must be ready for the scrapyard. 19 laps. Guna is still out in front on those hard tyres. We'll sit around and see when he pits. Explosives is now in the pits, which lets Brandon and Crudor through. And Hackett does now pit. That will give Nellboy DRS, which he must be thinking, thank you, you are out of my way. And Queener has just been overtaken by Joe, who is after Nellboy. Nellboy had a bit of defence there with the DRS open, and Nellboy has actually jumped Joe in the pits. So great work from him. Reliot not really being able to close this gap. And the Crudor continues to stick to the back of Brandon. You can't shake him off. So let's have a look at Gunnar then. So he's 12 seconds ahead of Brandon, so the pit stop, he's not going to get back out in front of Brandon, that's for sure. Where will he come out? I think he will slot in between Joe and Wazza, and Wazza is the person he was fighting. But you've got to remember, he's going to slot in there, and then he's going to be on medium tyres. These guys are all on hard. And he is now in the pits, so in fact, what we will do, we will jump on with Wazza, and we'll see where he gets to. See if he can come out in front of him. And Queena's going to give him some DRS, so Gunnar will be saying, go away, Queena. Don't give him the DRS, as he is on his way out the pits, but I think Wazza is going to have this covered. He is. He's about to go past him now. Look, he's just appeared out of the pits. And there he is. But what we will do is stick around with Gunnar on those mediums. He's going to take a little while to warm them up. Let's watch the front battle whilst he warms his tyres up, and we'll flick back to him. Because I think we're about to see Gunnar on a charge. But these two continue to do battle. And you can just see the difference in setup. Because Crudor is just hanging around. And the power of that DRS train, you can just see Reliot is a little bit in no man's land. He's not really losing time, but he can't gain it because all the time he gains for them fighting, Brandon just pulls them along the straight. And you can just see how much Crudor is falling back down the straights. And he needs to try and bank some ERS, ready to take an attack to Brandon. And here we go with his wing open. And he is charging that gap down. They're leaving Reliot behind. And Brandon must be burning some ERS there because he is nearly a second ahead. But again, this is where Crudor will come into his own. And Gunnar is now within a second. And I think he will have those tyres warmed up and ready for the attack on Wazza. And you can just see the grip difference. He's reeling him in the whole time. The gap's gone from a second out of turn 1 to half a second by turn 4. And he's going to have the traction advantage. And this is probably not going to take too long. And if he gets past Wazza, he can then go after Joe. He was 3 seconds down the road. Oh, as Wazza makes a mistake and he's off! So, that job is done. His teammate's on the way back up the hill. Stay out the way. Rika goes through. Shouldn't lose any more than that, but Gunnar is through. And there's not many other battles really going on track, so let's go and watch the front two again. As Crudor is in that DRS range. Just can't get close enough out of the final corner to do anything about it. He's just going to have to keep banking up his ERS and hope that at some point Brandon makes a mistake and he can just blast it and get past him. And once you're past, you really have to get your foot down and break the second. Oh, as Brandon does make a mistake. But again, his straight line speed is just keeping him in front. And Crudor will be again strong through this section, but trying to find an overtaking spot is very, very difficult. You've got to be bang on the money. And we'll keep an eye on Gunnar. He's now 3 seconds back from Joe. And even since I said it, he's taken a 10th and a half. So we'll see if he can catch up quickly, and if he does, he will be the man to watch. But Joe has just nipped into Nellboy's DRS range. Again, this DRS is going to be powerful. Gunnar's going to struggle to catch it. But Crudor again with Brandon down the final straight again. And as I said before, I don't like to look at their ERS just to make sure I'm not giving another driver who's watching the stream an advantage. But I'm hoping he's banking it up, and that will help him launch an attack later. As we've got Joe now 6/10 back from Nelboy, so that's going to be another one to watch. We'll see if that gap decreases anymore, and if it does, we'll jump on board with it. As Jens gets past Tom Putty after his earlier accident. And both of those guys taking that section nice and neatly. And this is the key bit for Crudor. He needs to be as close as he can down here. And you can see that he is using his ERS. The little green lights come on his dashboard. Just don't drain it. He just needs to be as close as he can through here so that he can try and make an attack. But Brandon's straight line speed is just phenomenal. And I think Crudor is saving it up, and I think it's the right thing to do. You've got another 8 laps to get this done. Just try and tank up as much as you can as Queen picks up a 3-second penalty, but just keep your lines. Don't hit those sausage curbs, they spit you out. As we see that, I think Joe may have made a mistake because he's now a 1.5 back from Nell, and Gunnar has reeled him in. He's nearly within the second now, and he is within a second. So let's just watch this to the chicane, and if he's not passed, we're going to flick to Gunnar, and we'll have a watch of that battle as he makes his way up to Joe. You can just see Crudor's got so much more confidence through these slower sections, but there's just no way you can overtake using it. And Brandon just, there, look, he's gone. That's the thing. Let's see how they get on down the home straight, and if Crudor looks like he's gaining, we'll stick with him. If not, we'll flick over to Gunnar and see how he's getting on with Haywood, as he's now within half a second. Crudor is not using his ERS. I'm going to take a punt and say he's not going to be close enough. So Gunnar then, on the charge. Got Haywood in front of him, he's on the softer tyres. And here he comes within 4/10, and he's reeling him in ever so slowly. And here he comes, he swings it out to the left and the inside of the track. And I think he's going to be through comfortably before the first turn. He is. And Gunnar now is on the charge. He's got a 6-second gap to Nelboy now. That is a lot to ask. That's nearly a second a lap. But if there's a guy on the grid that has the raw pace to do it, it's Gunnar. He's on the softer compounder tyre. He's got plenty of laps to do it. Let's keep an eye on the gap, and we'll go back up front because really it's the closest thing on track. Queener is close to Bog, but we're going to stick with the front, and Queener does make a move on Bog and gets through. Bog is in 15th, Queener up to 14th. Here we go with Crudor. Wazza is on the back of his teammate, he's within 5/10. So again, let's have a look and see if Crudor uses a bit of ERS. If he doesn't, we'll join Wazza and see how that battle pans out. But he looks a lot closer this time. This might be the time to dump your ERS. He might not, he is using it. And he's got the DRS, and he is going to be through for turn 1. He's turned his ERS off, and it's nearly allowed Brandon to get back at him, but he turned it off just at the right time. Gunnar pumping in fastest laps now. This is starting to hot up this race. We don't know who's going to win it yet. Relia, look, is reeling him in though. He's only a 2.5 back now. Nearly back within that DRS. And I'd love to know who's got the most DRS out of all of these guys here. And sorry, Gunnar is only 1.5 seconds back from Nelboy. The 6-second gap is in front of them. As we've got a Ferrari of Connor losing it up the chicane. He's back on track and away he goes. Brandon just losing touch through sector 2, and he will do. He's going to find it a lot harder through here. And Relic just needs to keep his composure, keep hitting his apexes. These two fighting will get him back in this. The race is not over, especially if he's been saving his ERS. You can see Crudor is flashing, and I think he is going to be easy target down this straight. He needs a really good exit. He's probably going to have to dump it. He is using it. He's going to have to dump it to have any chance. Let's watch the straight line speed of Brandon here then. Here he comes. I don't think he's quite going to be there for the first corner. But if he gets the first couple of turns right, it's going to be all over him again by turn 3 and 4. And this is key now for Crudor. He's still in front into sector 2. He's got half a second lead. And this is where he needs to get his foot down and make the most of these corners and build up that gap. Didn't look like he got the best of exits. And here we go. This is Crudor's crucial part of the race. As he's flashing again. I wonder if he's using it to defend, and he gets a bit sideways. And Brandon goes sideways because of it. Here comes Reliant. That's cost them both some time. This is going to be a great last 5 laps. This could be anyone's race. Just a couple of mistakes starting to creep in, and just remember Crudor does have that 3-second penalty. He's got to break that second gap, and I think he has been by blasting his ERS. And you can just see Reliant starting to creep into the picture, but Brandon's going to get him this time. Look at the closing speed, and Brandon really just needs to get off down the road now. He needs to protect himself from Reliant, and you can just see the power of the DRS. Reliant's lost 2 tenths just because they were able to open their rear wing. And this is crucial, and Crudor's had a brilliant exit, but he's not going to be close enough. And Reliant really needs these two to carry on scrapping away. As you can see, those 2 tenths have disappeared already. The tyres are going to start to struggle. Guna's still just about a second outside. Now seems to be able to find the pace when he needs it. It's like he sort of cruises round, and as he sniffs some danger, he deals with it. But anyway, Crudor really making some inroads again through the sector 2. Reliant's starting to drop back now. Wonder if he's starting to lose a bit of confidence in the tyres, but he's just got to be brave and keep going. Because there is a race win there for him if he can just pit the back of these two. And we'll see if Crudor decides to save up his ERS again. But you've got to remember, because of the penalties, he needs to get past and get gone. And he is going to just dump his ERS to make it happen. Look at the straight line speed of Brandon. He's still there. They're going to be side by side into the first corner. This is what Reliant needs. He needs them will to will racing. And look at him. He's burnt it round that last couple of corners. He wants that within that second. He's pushing so hard to get there. Is he going to break it? He's in there. Now he's just got to keep it. So we could have a 3-way battle. I have no idea which way this is going to go, but very, very quickly we've got Wazza all over the back of his teammate, who's flashing. And Reliant is just flicking over a second out. He's just got to stay within that second, and I think he'll be in position A, especially if he's been saving up some of that ERS. But I'm assuming he might have had to dump a little bit just to try and keep up. And he's just dipped outside that second, but Brandon is potentially losing. Let's jump on with it. Here's the DRS line here, and I think he's just inside it. And that is going to be tough for Reliant to see, because when that wing opens, Reliant is just going to disappear. And he didn't get DRS. That's huge. And if Crudor can just keep that gap, he might even be able to pull the 3 seconds. It's all going to be hinging on this first sector. And if he can be neat and tidy out of it, which he is, look at the gap he's pulling. He might even make the 3 seconds up that he needs. Is this genius from Crudor? We're about to find out. Reliant is back within that second. He's really loving sector 1 in comparison to Brandon. And we've got some yellow flags. It looks like it's a Red Bull. It's Wazza again. I have no idea how this is going to finish. There's a lot at stake, but the two behind don't have to overtake Crudor. They just have to stay within 3 seconds. And what that means is if Reliot can get past Brandon and not take too much time out of each other, we could see Reliot winning it. This is a great position for it to be. Could not have unfolded the picture any better. And Guna's now within a second of Nailboy. I don't think any of these guys have got DRS. They haven't. And I can't see their steering wheels to tell you if they're using their ERS or not. But what I can tell you is Crudor is pulling a gap. He must be flooring his ERS. He knows he has to keep that second gap. He knows Sector 2 is so important for him. Look at the gap he's pulling, and Reliot is so good around this first sector. Because Brandon is just really struggling in comparison. And Reliot knows if he can get hold of Brandon here, he can have the race win, but they can't let Crudor drive off. He's already a second and a half up the road, and he's coming to the part of the racetrack that he's going to pull out the gap. Guna is now within 5/10, and in fact, we're going to jump on board with him quickly. Right up behind Nailboy. We'll keep an eye on the gap for Reliot. Someone's lost it. I think it's Wazza again. He's DNF'd. That will not be a safety car. It's too late in the race. We've got Guna all over the back of Nailboy, and Guna has to bail out. Must have had some dirty air in his face. But I tell you what we are going to do. We're going to see Reliot in DRS range, I think. No, he's just dropped out the second. It's 1 second and 2 thousandths. Let's see if his DRS opens. You can see Crudor flashing. You can see all of them are flashing. They're all in a bit of trouble, but we know Reliot is strong. But let's just see if Guna can make an impression on Nailboy. This for 4th place. He's gaining quickly. He's going to take to the outside. Probably should have stayed in his slipstream, and he bails out of it. He knows he's going to be side by side round turn 1. I think if Guna had stayed tucked in a little bit longer, I think he would have got the jump on him. This is the last lap. So it's all or nothing for Reliot and Brandon now. Which one of these two is going to come to the line and win it? Crudor might still win it if he can pull up enough of a gap in Sector 2. Guna's got 5/10 to Nailboy. There's still a lot to sort out. We've only got half a lap to go. But let's watch Reliot and see if he can put some pressure on Brandon. No mistakes up here. And there aren't any. They're through it cleanly. There's a little straight to go. Crudor needs a second and 3/10. I don't think he's going to get it because these two are going to be too quick down to the line. I think Brandon is going to come home and take the victory. He's just got to navigate the last 2 corners. Reliot is not close enough. Crudor's got the 3-second penalty. He's going to take the checkered flag. But this is going to be Brandon's race. Who's going to come over in second, and a great drive from Reliot in third. Nailboy's going to come over and just keep Guna off him to take 4th place. Guna in 5th after a great drive with the hard medium strategy. Joe comes in 6th. Rika hung around, made 7th place. So points for him in the Red Bull. Hans coming across the line in 8th, and McLaren continue a strong start to the season. Explosives. He's going to take points in his first DTR race. Will he keep 9th? I think he will. Hackett's going to come across the line in 10th, and he does take 9th off of Explosives. Jens finishes in 11th after some trouble. Tom Putty jumps him actually into 11th after a flying start off the line. We've got Queener faking his way into the pits, and he's going to come across in 13th. And then we've got Mr. Barry Bogorowski hung in there to take 14th in the Haas. We've got Connor, who had a real tough time out on track today. Continuing to the end. He will come across in 15th. We've got little Mikey, who has already finished. He's in 16th. And Wazza, after he was having a strong race, a DNF on the 31st lap. And Connor comes home to finish the standing. So what a race we've had. And I promise you there would be action. And there definitely was. And you can now see why I'm saying it is such a close league. Rika picking up driver of the day. I think I've got to give it to Brandon. He was solid. He took pole. He's won the race. Even though Crudor come across the line first. Congratulations to Brandon, controlled the race. I think Guna was up there with an opportunity to get that driver of the day as well after an alternate strategy that paid off, got him back to 5th place, made his way up the field. But well done to Brandon, winning the race. Crudor, great race from you as well. And we've got Relia up there as well, who's going to be very happy with that podium. A brilliant race. Definitely one to go back and watch. And I'm sure the guys on the podium will go back and watch it. But we've got Brandon, who takes the win. And I think with that win, we'll probably put him top of the table. Relia in 2nd, Crudor in 3rd. Great 3-way battle from those guys. Nelboy in 4th, holds off Guna at the line, who comes over in 5th. Joe in 6th, Rika 7th, Hans in 8th, Hackett in 9th. Explosives, first points in DTR in his first race, congratulations. Tom Putty makes his way up to 11th. Jens, after a spin, makes his way back to 12th. Queener in 13th. Bog hangs around to take 14th. Connor hung in there well, took 15th. Lil Mikey in 16th. And then Wazza DNF'd in 17th. Well, it's been a great race. It was great to watch it with you. And we'll be back again next week. I won't be here, unfortunately, but you'll be in safe hands. And we'll see where the championship is in round 4. We'll see where we get to. Good luck to the drivers. Well done for tonight. Looking forward to seeing you next week.